Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the July community day with the Pokemon Poliwag. This was basically leaked already 3 months ago, but still we're going to now take a look at this community day, and it's going to be very important for PvP. Definitely don't miss that one out. We're going to have the community day from July 30th from 2 PM till 5 PM standard time, and of course you're going to be able to get both moves for Poliwrath as well as the Pokemon Politoad. Poliwrath going to learn Counter, while Politoad is going to learn Ice Beam. And of course already here one thing is kinda clear: Poliwrath is the main winner with this one. Politoad already knows Blizzard, which is also decent ice type attack, does definitely way more damage but also needs a little bit more energy. We're going to take a look at this later on as well. But as you're going to see here right now, the event bonuses on the side, we're going to get double candy again, double XL candy again. We're going to have also the hatch distance, which is most likely the worst of all of the bonuses. But yeah, as you're going to see here, the standard ones, there's nothing too special. We're going to get a time research for King's Rocks just for the evolution, which is basically always the case for those special ones. We have our special research, we have some field research, and nothing else very special. But now let's take a look at the moves. We're going to take a look here already at the Poliwrath here real quick. This is the standard moveset for the Shadow variant. We're going to take a look at the Open Great League, and we're going to see here 16 wins, 27 losses in the one shield scenario. We have like the Matrix mode later on as well, but if you add Counter to this Pokemon and change Dynamic Punch to the move Scald, which is going to give you better coverage, you're going to see that this goes up to 23 wins and 20 losses. Of course, Victory Bell is one of the biggest losses here, but you're going to be able to counter quite a bit of the meta, as you're going to see right now. You're going to have now Registeel, of course, really easy. Sandslash, Diggersby, Obstagoon, Warrain, Bastion, Stunfisk, even the Lantern you can beat, which is kind of wild, even though you even have here a moveset that's not really ideal for it. Is of course the Water Gun variant. I don't think you can beat the Spark variant, but even against Altaria you're going to do some pretty decent damage. The Shadow variant going to be so strong. I actually wonder how this matchup is going to be for the Noctowl. You're sadly not going to be able to win it, but maybe even if you have some extra energy you might be able to flip it eventually. Yeah, in the two shields you can flip it with like a little bit of extra energy here. So this Pokemon going to be actually meta relevant, and we're going to take a look at this one here as well right now. This is the Poliwrath in the Great League. We're going to have here two movesets with these standard ones, because nobody was really running Scald on this Pokemon because you wanted to have like Step Dynamic Punch for Steel type Pokemon. But now with Counter you don't really want to have Scald too much. You have the normal and the Shadow variant here, one time with Dynamic Punch on the bottom and one time with Scald in the middle. And as you're going to see here right now in the one shield scenario, if you scroll to the right you see the Counter variants, all the four on the bottom, all exceed by far the current standard variants here with a Mudshot. And this is so nice to see. And you have so many matchups that are really decent, especially most likely in the two shield scenario. You're going to really see how strong this Pokemon going to be here, as you're going to have quite a lot of wins. Of course, grass type Pokemon going to be always a struggle, which you're going to see as well, same as like Toxapex and Toxicroak. But you're even going to be able to beat something like a Swampert, like even the Shadow Swampert, which is really good for you. The Galarian Stunfisk you can beat, the Scrafty you can beat, the Sandslash you can beat. This Pokemon going to be so meta relevant. You beat the Registeel, the Obstagoon. There's so many Pokemon that you're going to be able to beat with this. Of course, it's going to make Pokemon like a Alolan Ninetales a little bit more common, with Charm most likely to counter this. But I feel like even if they have like Powder Snow, you have a pretty fair chance of still dealing a lot of damage against them, and even maybe flipping in third matchup, as you can see here even as well for the Shadow variant. Against Powder Snow alone, Ninetales, you're able to actually win this in the two shield scenario, which is just wild. Otherwise, against Lickitung you're going to have a great time, and this Pokemon just going to be super strong. Even flipping against the Deoxys defense, which I've never seen prior as well, which is just this Pokemon going to be super good, especially if you have up energy, because both Scald as well as Ice Punch going to give you great coverage for the meta, especially against those flying type Pokemon like Altaria. It's going to be such a strong pick. Of course, Cresselia going to completely hardwall you, but this Pokemon going to be so good for the Great League, a must-have. Let's take a look at the Ultra League variant of this Pokemon real quick before we go to Politoad, and we're going to see here as well a pretty similar result. You're going to see a great increase here in usage with the Shadow variant, especially with Counter here. As you see, it's going to do so much damage. Here actually Dynamic Punch has some play, which I didn't really expect, but there are more Steel types around in this meta, which makes it a little bit easier to deal with those. But again, most likely the 2-shield scenario with counter might be the best opportunity for this Pokemon. It definitely has great play in basically all scenarios. There's going to be a new cool Shadow Fighter with counter, and I am all for it. You could even argue for going for not even Dynamic Punch here, but for counter and Power Up Punch with this Pokemon, which I'm actually kind of curious on how this is going to work out, because I feel like this is a cool Power Up Punch user as well, as you're going to do so much damage later on. You have Stab with that, and I feel like there's actually a available option here as well. So you're going to be able to beat so many Pokemon. Honestly, there is just so much you can beat. Here you see, by the way, like the matchups that you're going to pick up compared to the normal one there. But you're going to pick up something like Galissopod or like Machamp or whatever. It is just wild how strong this Pokemon is going to be. So definitely both Ultra League as well as Great League a must-have to get. And now we're going to take a look at the Politoed here. And for this, it's a little bit different. It is a little bit awkward, to be fair, but this Pokemon can have some greater usage. The thing is that this Pokemon definitely kind of want to be shadowed, I feel like, for the Great League here. But Ice Beam going to allow you to get to the move a little bit faster than, for example, Blizzard, which is nice. You're still going to be able to have some coverage, but of course also the damage output is kind of a little bit awkward. And Earthquake is actually fairly decent, especially for matchups against, for example, Lantern here right now. So it's a little bit of a tricky one. Let's compare the best Shadow variant here with this move, as well as let's compare all the Shadow variants with the different 3 charge moves that you can choose here. And as you're going to see right now, Ice Beam going to be from them the best option actually, but just by a little bit. Yeah, you're still going to be able here, for example, with Ice Beam on the bottom, be able to beat Altaria now, which you didn't do with Earthquake, of course. Mandibuzz, which is really nice. Noctowl you can beat. The Toxicroak you can beat. But you still lose against something like Registeel and Lantern, which is really, really common stuff in the Great League meta right now as well. So Earthquake still might be beneficial. It's definitely an upgrade over Blizzard, though, which is definitely something that's really cool to see. As you can take a look at the 2-shield scenario as well, where this Pokemon really shines because you can bait a lot with this Pokemon. But as you're going to see here right now, in the 2-shield scenario, you're going to be the worst moveset compared to Earthquake. Earthquake is just a little bit of a better move compared to Ice Beam in general, but yeah, definitely it's going to be kinda not something that you definitely need, but it's definitely something that's nice to have. And I feel like it could have some potential play in tournaments, because you're going to be able to still beat Noctowl now. You can be able to beat the Altaria, as well as you're going to have some great time against Swampert as well. So you have basically a different Mud Boy that has some play in this meta. So I feel like this Pokemon most likely going to get also a lot of play in tournaments, but I'm not sure how good it's going to be in Open Great League. Let's take a look at the Ultra League here. We're going to have basically the same moveset as before. And as you're going to see here right now as well, that the Ice Beam variant, which you're going to see always on the bottom here, is going to be not the best one, to be fair. It's actually the worst one of them all for the Ultra League, which is kind of surprising. But if you take a look at the 2-shield scenario, there might be some differences. No, but honestly, the thing is, for Politoed, like the main bread and butter for this Pokemon is basically Weather Ball spam, because the stab move, that's basically what you're going to go for anyway. So the secondary charge move is just basically for coverage, and especially for Ultra League, because there are a lot of steel types like Cobalion, like Registeel, Earthquake seems to take the spot here fairly easily, so you don't really need Ice Beam. But again, Ice Beam is something nice to have, and yeah. So definitely play the Community Day. It's definitely worth it to get, especially the Poliwrath. Poliwrath is what you want to have, especially if you have a Shadow variant that you couldn't build. This would be amazing for you. Poliwrath going to be a new meta breaker for the Great and Ultra League, while Politoed definitely can get some kind of benefits from having Ice Beam, especially for the Great League, for tournaments in my opinion. But it doesn't really need to have it. Earthquake also has basically some similar matchups where it is beneficial. Like, for example, you take now with Ice Beam the Noctowl matchup, while you can take the Lantern matchup with Earthquake. So it's kind of back and forth. There's like, it would be really good if it could learn 3 charge moves, but like this, Poliwrath, definitely what you want to get. And this is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.